we're getting various price predictions coming in about the Bitcoin ETF. People even saying that it's going to go to $1 million within a week of the Bitcoin ETF approval by the SEC. Now, is this going to push it to 100K, 150K, $1 million, all this? And I'm going to tell you my thoughts. And a lot of it's based off of the older generation. I use my parents as an example. I've been in crypto for over 10 years at this point, and I've been hearing about Bitcoin ETF proposals since literally 2014. So it is a broken record to me, and I get annoyed by hearing it. Bitcoin is going to do well with or without the approval. That being said, do I think it's going to help it or hurt it, or how much is it going to help it? I think it's ultimately going to help it. Now, how much? Because some people think it's going to be buy the rumor, sell the news kind of a scenario. I wouldn't be so sure about that, to be honest with you, because when I hear my parents talk, and my dad in particular, it's annoying. So back in 2013, he was saying, "Oh, they're just going to ban that. They're just going to ban that." He still says that today. He still says that, just a broken record. "Oh, they're gonna ban that. They're gonna ban Bitcoin. They're gonna ban it." And then he brings up the whole thing of, how they banned U.S. citizens from owning gold back in the 30s. But then he himself invests in gold and silver, and thinks that that's almost somehow a better investment. But then he thinks, "Oh, they're going to ban Bitcoin." And again, I've had to explain to him that they would have to shut down the internet. Like literally, it would have to be like an apocalyptic scenario, like a Mars-sized asteroid would have to hit the Earth, and the power grid would have to go down, and the internet would have to go down. That's the only way you're going to kill crypto. That's it. So, again, they just sit there and argue with me all day, every day. Long story short, that's obviously caused a lot of the older generation to miss out on enormous gains. Some of the best investments in their lifetimes, they missed out on it because they didn't understand the technology, and they essentially feared it, and they didn't do their research and didn't listen to maybe some of the younger generation that maybe knew a little bit more, kind of had some kind of insight into it. And not saying everybody from that generation missed out. There were some people that saw it, or understood the parallels between other technologies and took their chance with it, and maybe speculated on it and made quite a bit of money. Now, that generation, though, they did get used to using some of the brokerage accounts, whether that be Fidelity, Charles Schwab, these different traditional brokerages on the U.S. stock market. If you're not from the United States, whatever. I mean, obviously there's going to be your iteration of being able to invest in your different markets, or if you are invested in the U.S. stock market, you go through these brokerage accounts, and this older generation got used to that, whether that was in the late 90s or whether that was into the early 2000s or mid 2000s. They got used to that, controlling maybe their retirement account, maybe going into some different mutual funds, maybe buying some ETFs, maybe buying some Apple or Google or whatever. So they're sort of used to this. And for whatever reason, they don't like the idea of like creating a Coinbase account, and then just buying Bitcoin. And I've said it so many times, they will go and buy Coinbase stock instead of just buying Bitcoin. Instead of buying just Ethereum, they'll buy the Coinbase stock. They feel more comfortable with that for some reason. It makes no sense to me. It's like, whatever. That's what they're going to do. It's in their brokerage account. It's in their retirement account. And then they do that. They're going to buy, again, this or that stock that has anything with blockchain related to it, anything related to crypto mining, anything related to, obviously it's crypto exchanges like Coinbase. But they won't go out and buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. But once there's an ETF, those people will likely buy into the ETF, because then it's almost like it's sort of like more legit to them, or they're just used to that. It doesn't make any sense. And I've said several times, because for the last 2 years, I mean, you can go back 2 years and see people talking about the Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin ETF could be coming, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever. 2 years ago, my dad, he just kept saying, if they approve a Bitcoin ETF, yeah, I'm going to buy it then. And I'm like, yeah, way to be late. Way to be late. Yeah, get in after everybody else is in. Good one. Good thinking. But again, they won't listen to you. You might beat a dead horse. These people are not going to listen to you. That being said, the people I'm talking about. And when there's an ETF, those people are going to buy. The boomers are going to come in and they're going to buy it when there's an ETF, whereas they wouldn't have bought it now. I don't get it. It makes no sense. It's stupid. But in their defense, they see stuff like FTX and the big scandal with FTX. And they think, well, that could happen to Coinbase, or that could happen to Kraken, or that could happen to Gemini. And then they see these lawsuits. Well, Kraken, Gemini, and Binance and Coinbase are all sued by the SEC. Oh, they're bad. They got sued by the SEC. Oh my gosh. They don't see Fidelity, Charles Schwab, or these other brokerage accounts. They don't see them getting sued by the SEC. They don't see the CEOs, potentially going to spend time in prison. They don't see that. So from their perspective, they're very fearful of this thing. Whereas I've been in this for 10 years, I feel like it's become more mainstream, obviously, because even when I got in, it was like, okay, this is, it's getting more mainstream. Oh, they signed a partnership with Microsoft, or, oh, now Microsoft's accepting Bitcoin. This was happening in 2013. So to me, it's like, yeah, crypto's mainstream now. Most people know what Bitcoin is. You would feel that most people know what Bitcoin is. But again, and a high percentage of people own cryptocurrency in these different countries. But to that boomer generation, which has the majority of the wealth in the United States, they don't feel comfortable with it. It's this kind of like, it's still this very, very speculative kind of like, it hasn't made it yet thing, or it's not legitimate quite, because there's not an ETF, or it's not traded on the US markets. Again, doesn't make sense. They missed out on huge gains, but they have the majority of wealth in this nation. And when there's an ETF, they're going to buy. So at the end of the day, and that's going to pump all crypto, even if you didn't have a huge position in Bitcoin per se, we see it spill over to, other stuff, obviously, like the other chains, whether it be Solana, Avalanche, Phantom, Internet Computer Protocol, Binance Smart Chain, like the BNB token. We see it spill over to all this other stuff, and then that spills over to, other projects, and spills to meme coins, and then those go up thousands of %. So, whatever happens, if it gets approved, there's going to be like lots and lots of opportunities for you to make massive amounts of money, potentially life-changing money. But all that being said, the safe bet is to own Bitcoins, own Ethereum, own BNB, own, whatever, and I always say all roads lead to the Doge, because again, it's a unit basis or unit bias kind of scenario where, it's at this below 10-cent range. It's in this kind of wheelhouse of people being able to buy a lot of them. They like to have a lot of something. And, it's on every exchange. It's not a security. And, it's got its own little things going on. I've mentioned Doginals, basically ordinals, essentially these little NFTs and stuff that are on Dogecoin. And, people are doing stuff with that. And then Dogecoin is used a lot just to transact between different exchanges, because, the fees are low. You can get in and out, and the chain works, so you don't have these outages. You don't have the thing going down, all this and that. That being said, and the fees aren't as high, I can tell you that. You can't hardly move any Ethereum or Bitcoin for less than 40 or 50 bucks right now, which is pathetic and it's ridiculous. That being said, one way or another, it makes sense to own Bitcoin, Ethereum. Now, how high is it going to go? I think that it's not going to move like crazy necessarily like right away, because then these brokerage accounts are going to have to add it. They're going to have to add it in, and then people are going to have to sort of be educated that, hey, it got added. So they're going to have to do their marketing push, push out emails. Hey, you can buy the Bitcoin ETF through our platform now. You can buy it in your Roth IRA. You can buy it in your 401k, blah, 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 blah. So they have to educate, kind of their customer base. And, that'll take a while for people to allocate money to it. And then again, it has to be done in a way to where Bitcoin is actually being bought on the back end. So, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's spot ETF. It's supposed to be backed 100% by Bitcoin. And we don't know how well the price is going to actually track the actual price of Bitcoin. And that's been a problem with the Canadian Bitcoin ETF, that it doesn't track the price very well. So I don't know if people just kind of, if it's not tracking it very well, they could kind of lose a little faith in it. So we'll have to see with that, when and if this thing gets added. And at the end of the day, I do think this, if a Bitcoin ETF does get approved, it's going to push it to an all-time high, and it'll probably happen in a time frame that's sooner than our 4-year kind of, peak window, where usually we would be peaking late 2025. If this happens in early 2024, I think we could see a new all-time high in 2024. This is obviously starting off this quasi bull market, or this kind of like super pump, kind of like this unexpected pump 2 years sooner than expected. So that being said, guys, if you don't have a lot of money to throw at it, and you're like, okay, you missed the boat, you didn't miss it. I've seen people say, well, I guess I'll have to sit this one out. You don't want to sit it out. You want to get involved. You want to get engaged. You want to try to get airdrops. You want to try to blog, try to, tap into faucets. They're giving away free coins. You want to do everything you can, because even if you're starting even with $100 or $200 or $500 worth of crypto, you catch the right meme token or the right meme coin, or you get into the right project and it bangs out 10x, 20x, 100x, then you're in the game. Then you're in the game, and you can just keep cranking and getting those wins and stuff like that. And when things really pop off, all boats are going to rise. So that being said, guys, that's my thought process. This could bring us to an all-time high sooner than expected. And when I say that, I'm saying over 69K. It could bring us past that a year and a half early, or a year earlier than expected, kind of thing. That's more what I think it's going to do. I wouldn't expect some huge sell-off. Maybe it drops a little bit. I think 20K has left the building. I don't really see us going back to that at this point. And even this premise of 25K on a pullback, I'm not really seeing it, guys. I think it's going to be very pressing for this thing to go back down to 30K at this point. The ship has sailed. Enough momentum got behind this whole like narrative that, oh, it's going to be approved. It's going to be approved. And how many months has this went on? It just keeps going on and on and on and on. And I think that push is going to continue. I don't think that people are just going to kind of forget about that, because it just, as time has gone on, just people think it's like around the corner, it's around the corner, it's around the corner, it's around the corner. And they don't want to sell out and be left behind. So, that being said, I just don't think we're going back to 30K at this point. We're going to be lucky, honestly, like if we go back down to 33K at this point. As the timeline gets further along, just not seeing these huge pullbacks at this point. It's just too much big money flowing into this thing. So that being said, you guys pick your strategy. Um, you could be all in on Bitcoin, or you could be all out on Bitcoin, and you could just kind of focus on alts. Um, Whatever you want to do. There's infinite amounts of possibility in crypto, infinite amount of ways to make money. So anyway, guys, what are you guys buying? Leave a comment below, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Hive, D2, Blurt, everywhere.